Attention time-traveling enthusiasts. I am your new host, Amara Eden, a traveler of time from a small town near Alexandria, Egypt. I arrived from the past and have been asked by my instructor, Demetrius Thotmuse, known as Demetrius the Wise, to take you on a mission to an Afrocentric-themed time travel adventure. Written and produced by Damian Lamar Robinson, Time Traveler's Digest, an anthology, includes a collection of time travel stories, academic deep dives, and poetic musings. Join me on this exciting time travel adventure and let your imagination run wild. This first-of-its-kind, obscure time travel book isn't just about hopping between the past, present, and future. Oh no, it's a profound quest to safeguard the wisdom of old, an endeavor that underscores the significance of equilibrium and unity. In this whirlwind of time-twisting stories, you'll come face to face with humanity's will and plight to craft tomorrow and the role of time travel in offering redemption and an opportunity to influence the course of history. On this podcast, you'll hear short stories that will transport you to different eras of history. With a touch of romance and science fiction, these stories are not only entertaining, but also enlightening, as they shed light on the rich African heritage that often goes unnoticed in mainstream literature. So, strap yourself in. We're about to hit the gas on an adventure that breaks the shackles of time and space.
This is a work of fiction. All views expressed, characters, places, and incidents are derived from the author's imagination. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, business establishments, or actual events or locales is purely coincidental. No part of this book, podcast, or broadcast may be reproduced or transmitted without prior written permission from the publisher. All rights reserved.
Asem stood in the shadow of the ancient pyramid, its golden tip barely visible against the relentless desert sun. The sands whispered around him, hinting at secrets long buried beneath the earth. He had spent decades searching for his very spot, his journey marked by sacrifices few would ever know. Now he was finally here, staring at the triangular stone that had haunted his dreams. The stone bore the Eye of Horus, sharp and unyielding. Beneath it, hieroglyphs twisted in ancient patterns, symbols that promised power and something far darker. Asem knew enough to understand their warnings, but desperation outweighed caution. He knelt, his frail fingers tracing the symbols, muttering the word he had memorized long ago. He paused on the name Wasemtow. The stories painted the figure as a ruler erased from history, betrayed and cursed by those he had once trusted. The name alone carried weight, an ominous reminder of what happens to those who defy the gods. But Asem, he was the last in a line sworn to protect this secret, to guard the world from what lay beneath. Yet the weight of that responsibility had worn him thin. He had come to believe that the world might need what Wasemtow could offer: power, justice, vengeance. These were tools that could reshape the course of history if wielded correctly. He uncorked the vial he carried, the dark liquid within swirling as if it was alive. It was drawn from the Nile, steeped in the rituals of the old gods. With a steady hand, Asem poured the substance over the stone, watching as the symbols absorbed it, glowing faintly in the dim light. The earth shuddered beneath his feet, a low rumble resonating from deep within the pyramid. The stone shifted, revealing a dark passageway leading down into the heart of the ancient structure. Asem hesitated, the weight of his actions pressing down on him, but there was no turning back. With a deep breath, he stepped forward, the passage swallowing him in darkness. Inside, the air was cool and thick with the scent of decay. The path wound down into the earth, each step taking him deeper into the unknown. The silence was suffocating, broken only by the faint sound of his own breathing. The darkness pressed close, making the walls seem alive as if they were watching him, waiting. Asim felt a cold sweat on his brow as the passage opened into a vast chamber lit by a pale, unnatural light. In the center stood a figure, tall and imposing, his features hidden beneath a shadow that clung to him like a second skin. Wasemtow. The name echoed in Asim's mind, a reminder of the pact he was about to break. Before Asim could speak, the figure turned, his eyes burning with a fire that had not dimmed in centuries. "You have come far," Wasemtow said, his voice low and filled with ancient power. "But the questions remain. Why?" Asim's voice wavered, the confidence he had carried with him for so long. "The world has changed," he managed to say. "It needs someone who can bring order, someone who understands power." Wasemtow stepped closer, his presence overwhelming. "And you believe that I am the person, the one to save the world that left me to rot in the sands?" Asim swallowed hard. "Yes," he replied, forcing himself to meet the ancient king's eyes. "But you must prove it." Wasemtow's smile was cold, predatory. "Very well," he said, his voice dripping with dark amusement. "But know this, power is never given, only taken. Are you prepared to face the consequences of your choice?" Asim nodded, though fear gnawed at his insides. He had come too far to turn back now. With a flick of his hand, Wasemtow summoned a force that sent Asim sprawling to the ground. The chamber trembled, the walls shifting as if alive. Shadows leapt from the corners, forming shapes that encircled Asim, their eyes glowing with malevolent intent. "Your first test," Wasemtow said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "Survive, and we will see if you are worthy." Asim struggled to his feet. The shadows closed in, their forms shifting and changing, claws and teeth appearing where there should be none. He reached for the amulet around his neck, a gift from his ancestors, and held it aloft. It glowed with a faint light, just enough to push the shadows back, but only for a moment. The creatures lunged, and Asim barely managed to dodge their attack. He stumbled, his hands scrambling to grip the stone floor beneath him. Panic surged through him, but he forced it down. Focusing on the task at hand, he had faced danger before, but nothing like this. He reached into his robes, pulling out a small blade, its edge glinting in the dim light. He slashed it in the shadows, the blade passing through them, but it did little to slow them down. They reformed, stronger and more vicious than before. Desperation fueled his movements as he fought, each swing of the blade more frantic than the last. He could feel his strength waning, the fight slipping away from him. But then, in the midst of the chaos, he remembered the glyphs, the symbols on his forehead that had led him here. With a final, desperate effort, Asim began to chant, the ancient words spilling from his lips. I am a traveler in time, and I have seen the worlds, and the universe has witnessed me in return. There is no thing more potent or awe-inspiring than witnessing the cosmic consciousness and the energy unwind, unfurl, and unfold, and to feel matter shift and bend as time changes. Old stars die away, replaced by the new ones. Nothing else matters but this moment in space and now time. The shadows hesitated, their forms wavering. The glyphs on the walls glowed brighter, the light pushing back the darkness. Wasemtow watched, his expression unreadable as Asim continued the chant, the shadows retreating until there was nothing more than wisps of smoke. When the chamber was silent once more, Asim fell to his knees, grasping for breath. Wasemtow approached, his gaze piercing. "You have survived," he said, his tone cold, "but this is only the beginning. If you wish to control power, you must first understand it. And that, young man, will be your true test." Asim looked up, his body trembling with exhaustion. But there was a spark in his eyes, a glimmer of determination that had not been there before. He had come to bring back a king, but now he had realized the true cost, and yet he would not back down. Not now. "Then teach me," Asim said, his voice steady. "Show me what it means to wield such power." Wasemtow's smile returned, darker than before. "Very well," he said, "but remember, power demands price, and it is a price you may not be willing to pay." Asim nodded, his resolve hardening. He had already paid too much to turn back. Whatever the cost, he would see it through to the end. Wasemtow extended a hand, and the chamber around them shifted once more. The floor beneath Asim gave way, plunging into a deeper darkness. He tumbled through the air, disoriented, before landing hard on a cold stone platform. The surroundings were different now, colder and more oppressive. The light from above was a mere pinprick, swallowed by the consuming void. Asim struggled to see and to get to his feet. The platform beneath him began to glow, revealing intricate carvings and more hieroglyphs. These were older, more primal, exuding an aura of raw, untamed power. He could feel it pulsing beneath his feet, sending tremors through his bones. "Welcome to the trial of spirit, young man." Wasemtow's voice echoed through the chamber, though his form was nowhere to be seen. "Here we shall test the strength of your mind and the purity of your intentions. Know that failure here means not death, but madness." Asim steadied himself and took a deep breath. He had faced the shadows and survived. He could face whatever the trial would bring. The hieroglyphs around him flared, and suddenly he was no longer on the stone platform, but in the heart of a great battle, surrounded by warriors, locked in deadly combat. The scene was chaotic, the clang of metal against metal, the cries of the wounded filling the air. Asim recognized the battle. It was the final stand of Wasemtow, a moment seared in history by those who remembered it. He saw the ancient king, leading his men with unyielding determination, his eyes burning with a fierce resolve. But something was wrong. The warriors around Wasemtow were not just fighting enemies, they were fighting shadows like those he had battled moments before. He could see the confusion and the fear in their eyes as their weapons passed through the ethereal forms without effect. "Confront your fears, Asim," Wasemtow's voice came from nowhere and everywhere. Understand what it is to fight a hopeless battle, the fear to feel the despair that robs men of their will. Asem moved through the chaos, trying to make sense of what he was seeing. He saw soldiers falling, succumbing to the shadows that overwhelmed them. He saw Wasemtow himself, his strikes growing weaker, his gaze faltering. It was a scene of utter desolation, and Asem felt it keenly in his heart. He knelt beside one of the fallen warriors, seeing not just a soldier, but a man, someone with dreams, hopes, a family left behind. He felt the weight of their sacrifices and understood the true cost of power. Compassion is your strength, a different voice whispered, softer, more gentle. Asem turned to see a woman, radiant and serene, standing amidst the carnage. She wore the headdress of a queen and bore the amulet similar to Asem's. Do not let it become your weakness. The scene shifted once again, and Asem was back on the platform, the carvings around him glowing with a shining light. He could feel the presence of the queen, her words lingering in his mind. Your journey is fraught with peril. Wasem's voice returned, harsher now. But it is compassion that blinds you. To wield the true power, you must cast aside such weaknesses. No, Asem replied, his voice steady. Compassion is what drives me. It is what brought me here to you. Power without compassion is tyranny, and I will not be a tyrant. Silence followed. But with that silence, Asem sensed movement, a shift in the ancient king's perspective. Wasemtow was testing not his resolve, but his very nature. Slowly, the shadows receded, and Wasemtow appeared before him once more, his expression inscrutable. You possess a strength I did not anticipate, he admitted, his voice a mix of admiration and lingering skepticism. Very well, Asem. The next trial awaits you, and it will demand more than just your spirit. With a gesture, the chamber transformed, becoming a labyrinth maze of corridors and secret passageways. Each turn promised new challenges, new tests of his courage and wisdom. Follow the path and remember, every choice you make will shape the man you become. Asem squared his shoulders. He took a step forward into the maze, his heart pounding with both fear and anticipation. He felt the presence of his ancestors guiding him, their thoughts mingling with his own thoughts.
Every setting in Time Traveler's Digest is meticulously crafted to transport the reader to another world, from the splendor of ancient Alexandria to the mystique of hidden temples. No matter what, the core of it all is a captivating story of exploration, uncovering truths, and the never-ending potential of time. Now, here's where it gets exciting. Because you listened this far. That's right. You, my fellow time traveler, will get a hands-on preview of the digital experience. Head over to our website at timetravelersdigest.com/preview. There, you will have an opportunity to read 5 previously released, newly edited time travel adventures, as well as 4 brand new, never-before-told short stories handcrafted by the author. We realize these chapter outtakes and the podcast episodes are like peeking through a keyhole. You'll get an idea, but the full picture? It's waiting for you inside the novel. Okay, now, it's your turn to learn the basics of time travel. Head over to timetravelersdigest.com/preview Then enter the phrase Alexandria in all caps. Then explore. Leave us a breadcrumb by way of a comment or a reaction to our stories to let us know you were there. Okay, until next time, thank you for listening. We recognize your interest and time. Keep wondering and investigating until we meet again. And always keep in mind that time waits for only great stories. Stay tuned and safe travels, my adventurers. Your new time travel guide and yours in time, Amara Eden of Alexandria.